You'll never succeed until you control this one thought. There's a silent thought that's been running your life, and you don't even realize it. It was planted deep inside you through moments of pain, rejection, and quiet failure. And until you confront it, no strategy, no goal, no motivation will ever truly stick. But here's the truth. You can expose it, rewire it, and finally take back control of your mind. In this video, I'll show you how to break free from the one thought that's been silently sabotaging your success. Most people believe that what holds them back is a lack of time, resources, or connections. But the real roadblock is far more subtle and much more dangerous. It's a thought. Not just any thought, but a dominant one that runs quietly in the background of your life, like a silent saboteur. It whispers at the edge of your confidence, just loud enough to distort your decisions, but quiet enough that you can't always trace its source. This thought disguises itself well. It shows up as procrastination, as perfectionism, as fear of rejection, or even chronic busyness. But at its root, it's a belief, a deep, unchecked belief that says, you are not enough. This thought doesn't announce itself. It's not dramatic. In fact, that's why it's so dangerous, because it hides beneath the surface. You may think you're just afraid to start something new. You may believe you're being cautious or waiting for the right time. But underneath all of that logic is a quiet belief system that's been telling you you're not ready, you're not capable, you're not worthy of that level of success. And the most deceptive part is that it doesn't always sound negative. Sometimes it sounds responsible. Sometimes it sounds like humility, but make no mistake, it's the same thought dressed in different clothes. This hidden saboteur becomes the lens through which you view the world. You interpret rejection as proof of your inadequacy. You see others' success as confirmation that you're falling behind. Every mistake reinforces the belief. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. You aim lower, you hesitate longer, you settle more, not because you lack talent, but because you're unconsciously trying to prove this thought right. That's how powerful it is. That's how much control one belief can have over the trajectory of your entire life. People often spend years trying to fix the wrong things. They buy new planners, they set bigger goals, they take more courses. But if they never confront this one thought, this silent saboteur, they will continue to sabotage their own success from the inside out. Real change doesn't begin with action. It begins with awareness, with stopping long enough to ask, what is the thought that's really running my life? Until you answer that question honestly, you'll keep repeating the same cycles. Because you cannot conquer what you will not confront. And you cannot succeed while that thought remains in control. The most common thought that holds people back, the one that quietly undermines dreams, confidence, and progress, is deceptively simple: I'm not enough. Those three words may not always be spoken out loud, but they echo within the mind of almost every person who feels stuck, unsure, or behind in life. It doesn't matter how smart, talented, or capable you are. If deep down you've accepted the belief that you are somehow insufficient, it will poison your potential from the inside out. What makes this belief so dangerous is that it doesn't come from nowhere. It's often planted early in life through rejection, criticism, failure, or moments of deep disappointment. Maybe a teacher told you you weren't smart enough. Maybe a parent made you feel like you always had to earn love or approval. Maybe you failed once and decided that failing meant you were the failure. Whatever the source, this thought slips into your identity so quietly that by the time you're an adult, it doesn't feel like a belief anymore. It feels like a fact. And once that thought becomes part of your mental framework, everything begins to bend around it. You don't apply for the opportunity because someone better will get it. You don't speak up because your voice doesn't matter. You don't chase your dream because people like you don't make it. All of that is driven by the silent idea that you're not enough, not smart enough, not talented enough, not strong enough, not deserving enough. And over time, the thought becomes invisible. You live with it like it's truth. It shapes your self-worth, your relationships, your career, even your spirituality. But here's the truth you need to hear. That voice isn't yours. That belief didn't originate from your soul. It was programmed into you by past pain. It was the reaction of someone else's insecurity, someone else's brokenness, someone else's misunderstanding of your value. And the worst mistake you can make is to keep letting a lie define what you believe about yourself. This thought, I'm not enough, is not your identity. It's not a fact. It's a script you've been handed. And once you realize it's not yours, you gain the power to challenge it, change it, and rise above it. Because the truth is, you were never lacking. You were never too late or too far behind. You were simply taught to see yourself through the wrong lens. Now is the time to change that lens and reclaim your vision. When you trace your thoughts back to their origin, you'll find that many of them didn't start with you. They were passed down, absorbed or implanted through life experiences, some intentional, some unintentional. The most damaging thoughts often come from moments that felt small at the time. A teacher dismissing your question, a parent comparing you to someone else, a friend laughing when you tried something new. These moments may have lasted seconds, but the impact lasted years. Over time, you began to internalize the message, I'm not smart enough, I'm not talented enough, I'm not worthy. That thought became part of the background noise of your mind. You didn't choose it, it chose you. But you've been living as if it were your own. 2, this is the part most people miss. The dominant thought holding you back doesn't belong to you. It's not your voice. It's an echo. It's the sound of someone else's fear, someone else's frustration, someone else's failure projected onto you. Maybe it was a parent who was never affirmed in their own life, so they didn't know how to affirm you. Maybe it was a coach or authority figure who thought criticism would make you stronger, not realizing it was cutting deep into your... Maybe it was society itself, conditioning you to believe you must look a certain way, achieve certain things, or meet certain timelines to be considered valuable. Whatever the source, the echo kept repeating. And the more it repeated, the more it began to sound like your own thought. You started calling it truth. But just because a belief feels real doesn't mean it's right. You've been reacting to a voice that was never meant to lead you. It's been steering your choices, limiting your growth, and convincing you to play small. Understanding where this thought comes from is the first step to breaking its power. Because once you recognize it for what it truly is, not your wisdom, but a wound, you begin to separate your true identity from the noise that's been shaping your decisions. You stop being loyal to the lie. You stop living in defense mode, trying to prove yourself, and start stepping into clarity. The moment you stop honoring a voice that never belonged to you is the moment you make space for the truth. And that's when real freedom begins. Not when life becomes easier, but when the voice in your mind becomes healthier. Your mind is a powerful tool, but it can only operate within the limits of the beliefs it holds most deeply. When your dominant thought is negative, like, I'm not enough, your brain works to confirm that belief every day, often without you realizing it. It's not trying to make you fail out of cruelty, it's actually trying to keep you safe. From a survival standpoint, sticking to familiar patterns feels less risky than stepping into the unknown. So when you believe you're not worthy or capable, your mind subconsciously blocks opportunities, fuels procrastination, or creates self-doubt to protect you from potential failure or rejection. This is why so many people feel stuck in a cycle. They aren't lazy or incapable. Their minds are simply running in survival mode instead of success mode. This inner barrier prevents your mind from performing at its best. No matter how many skills you learn, how many books you read, or how hard you work, if your underlying belief is that you are not good enough, your brain will find ways to sabotage your progress. It's like trying to drive a car with the parking brake still on. You can press the accelerator all you want, but the brake prevents real forward movement. The dominant thought acts as that brake, creating invisible resistance that slows down your momentum and limits your achievements. What's more, this self-sabotage often feels automatic. You might start a project enthusiastically only to suddenly feel overwhelmed or distracted. You might hesitate to share your ideas because a small voice inside warns you they aren't good enough. Or you might avoid risks telling yourself you're just being realistic when really you're afraid of failing. All of these behaviors tie back to one core thought holding you hostage. Understanding this dynamic is crucial because it shows that success isn't just about external effort or talent. It's about mastering your inner dialogue. When you control the thought running your mind, you free yourself from self-imposed limits. You shift from survival mode to success mode. Your mind starts working for you, not against you. You begin to see opportunities where before you saw obstacles. You find energy where before you felt drained. You build confidence where before you felt doubt. The key is to recognize when that limiting thought shows up and interrupt its pattern. Replace it consciously with a new empowering truth. The process isn't instant, but with awareness, practice, and patience, you can retrain your brain to support your goals instead of blocking them. The moment you take control of that one thought, you unlock your mind's full potential and open the door to true, lasting success. Taking control of the dominant thought that runs your mind is not a one-time event. It's a process that requires awareness, intention, and consistent practice. The first step is to become aware of when that negative thought appears. It might be subtle, a hesitation before speaking up, a feeling of doubt before starting something new, or an urge to procrastinate. Catching the thought in action means paying close attention to your inner dialogue. This awareness allows you to identify the exact moment when that silent saboteur tries to take control. Without this step, the thought will continue running on autopilot, influencing your choices without your conscious knowledge. Once you've caught the thought, the next step is to challenge and reframe it. Instead of accepting the lie, replace it with a powerful, affirming truth. For example, if the thought says, "I'm not ready," respond with, "I may not know everything yet, but I am enough to start." This reframe shifts your mindset from limitation to possibility. It doesn't ignore the challenges, but it empowers you to move forward despite them. Reframing is crucial because it interrupts the negative thought cycle and introduces a new mental pattern that supports growth and confidence. Repetition is the key to making this change stick. Your brain builds habits through repeated thought patterns. If you continually speak negatively to yourself, those thoughts become ingrained. But if you consistently replace negative beliefs with positive affirmations, you begin to create a new thought loop, a mental environment that nurtures success rather than fear. Daily repetition of empowering truths rewires your brain, slowly but surely transforming your internal dialogue and your self-perception. Equally important is the environment you surround yourself with. The voices you hear, whether from people, media, or even the culture around you, can either reinforce negative beliefs or support positive growth. Surround yourself with affirming voices, mentors, and communities that believe in your potential and encourage your progress. Limit exposure to people or content that drain your energy or reinforce doubt. Your environment acts like a mirror reflecting what you believe about yourself, so choose it carefully. This process isn't always easy. It takes patience, commitment, and sometimes courage to confront and change a thought that has controlled you for years. But the reward is tremendous. When you take control of your dominant thought, you reclaim your power. You open yourself to new possibilities and align your mindset with your goals. Success becomes not just a distant dream, but a natural outcome of the way you think, speak, and act every day. This journey begins with awareness, grows with intention, and flourishes with consistent effort. Because you'll never succeed until you control that one thought. The power of the environment around you cannot be overstated when it comes to controlling your dominant thought. Our minds are incredibly influenced by the people we spend time with, the media we consume, and the general atmosphere we immerse ourselves in daily. If you want to change your thinking, changing your environment is essential. Imagine trying to learn to swim in a pool filled with mud. It's almost impossible to move forward. Similarly, trying to build confidence and control negative thoughts in an environment that constantly reinforces doubt, fear, or negativity will keep you stuck. Surrounding yourself with positive, supportive voices helps reinforce the new, empowering beliefs you are trying to build. This might mean seeking out friends, mentors, or communities that encourage your growth, believe in your potential, and celebrate your progress. These people act like a mirror, reflecting the truth about your worth and ability, helping you see yourself through a lens of possibility rather than limitation. Their encouragement strengthens your new thought patterns and provides motivation when your own resolve falters. On the other hand, limiting exposure to negative influences is just as important. Toxic relationships, constant criticism, or consuming media that promotes fear, jealousy, or hopelessness feed the old, limiting beliefs. Even subtle messages like social media comparisons or negative news cycles can erode your mindset and make it harder to maintain control over your dominant thought. Being mindful of what you allow into your mental space is a form of self-care and a vital step in your journey towards success. Changing your environment also means creating physical and mental spaces that support your new mindset. This could be as simple as setting aside a quiet place for daily reflection or meditation, filling your surroundings with inspiring books, quotes, or music, or organizing your time so that you focus on activities that nurture your growth. Small adjustments to your environment accumulate, creating a fertile ground for your mind to flourish. Ultimately, Your environment acts as both a catalyst and a guardrail in the process of controlling your dominant thought. It can either keep you locked in old patterns or propel you forward into a new way of thinking and being. By intentionally choosing and shaping your environment, you set yourself up for lasting change and open the door to the success that awaits when your mind is free to believe in your true worth. Taking control of your dominant thought requires consistent effort and daily commitment. It is not something that happens overnight, but through repeated practice that rewires your mind and transforms your inner dialogue. The power of repetition lies in how the brain forms neural pathways. Each time you think a certain way, those pathways strengthen. If you repeatedly allow negative limiting thoughts to dominate, you reinforce a mental pattern that keeps you stuck. Conversely, when you intentionally replace those thoughts with positive, empowering beliefs day after day, you build new pathways that become your new default. This is why affirmations and positive self-talk are more than just feel-good phrases. They are practical tools to reshape your thinking. When you say to yourself, "I am capable," or "I am enough to start," you begin to shift your internal narrative. Over time, this new story becomes the lens through which you view your abilities and opportunities. But for this to work, consistency is key. Skipping days or only practicing when you feel motivated won't create the lasting change needed. It requires dedication. Like training a muscle, your mind must be exercised regularly to grow stronger. Another important element is patience. Changing your dominant thought is not just about repeating words. It's about changing deeply ingrained beliefs that may have formed over many years. Sometimes, progress may feel slow or invisible. You might find yourself slipping back into old patterns or doubting the effectiveness of your efforts. These moments are normal and part of the process. The key is to keep going, knowing that each small step forward builds momentum. Over time, you'll start to notice shifts in your mindset, decisions, and even the results in your life. It's also helpful to combine repetition with other supportive habits. Writing down affirmations, visualizing success, journaling your progress, or meditating on your new beliefs can deepen their impact. These practices engage your mind on multiple levels, spoken, seen, and felt, making the new thought patterns more powerful and resilient. The more senses and emotions you involve, the more your brain accepts these affirmations as truth. Ultimately, repetition creates transformation because it changes how your brain functions. When your new empowering thought becomes automatic, it no longer requires conscious effort to believe in yourself. It becomes part of who you are. And at that point, success is no longer a distant goal, but a natural result of the way you think and act every day. This steady, patient, daily work is the foundation for lasting change, unlocking the potential you've always had, but may never have fully realized until you controlled that one thought. Taking control of the one dominant thought that governs your mind is the key to unlocking your true potential and achieving lasting success. Until you gain mastery over this thought, all your efforts, no matter how hard or smart, will fall short of what you're truly capable of. The reason is simple. Your dominant thought shapes your identity, influences your decisions, and directs your actions, often without your conscious awareness. If that thought is rooted in fear, doubt, or limitation, it will create invisible barriers that block progress and sabotage your dreams. But when you finally take charge and replace that limiting thought with an empowering one, everything changes. You step into a new version of yourself, one that is confident, resilient, and driven by possibility. This shift doesn't just affect how you think. It transforms how you feel, how you respond to challenges, and how others see you. Success is no longer something you chase, it becomes a natural outcome of your mindset. This process begins with understanding that thoughts are not fixed facts, but mental habits that can be changed. Just because you have believed something for years doesn't mean it's true or that it must continue to control your life.